this question is work-life balance in mechanical engineering.
Right.
And this guy
Right.
says, going back to college to major in mechanical engineering. My dad was a civil engineer and he worked
Mhm.
10 hours a day, 5 days a week, except for some projects where he worked 12 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Mhm.
I actually worked on that project with him, so I saw what that was like. It was hell. And
Mhm. Mhm.
recently, I worked as a truck driver and worked 14 hours a day, 6 days a week, which was also hell. I don't want to do that anymore. I want a career that allows for work life balance. I don't
Mhm.
want to work more than a standard 8 hour day unless an event or a deadline comes up that requires it, which in that case is understandable. I
Mhm.
could live with a standard 10-hour day if I have to. Honestly, don't want that either. Is this available with the mechanical engineering career? They're looking in the wrong place.
Okay. That's the question, right? Yeah. I would say 100%. You can definitely find a career in mechanical engineering that allows for work-life balance. I mean, but the thing, the biggest thing is Mechis is the ultimate open-ended engineering career path, like hard engineering career path, because you can apply it to many different fields. So in my line of work, we touch on a lot of electrical. We touch on a lot of some civil, but not really a lot. Definitely no like design civil, because civil engineers I mean, this person's dad. Again, I haven't worked civil engineering jobs, so can't speak from my experience, but from like friends who have worked on it, their project deadlines can really affect your work-life balance. And it also depends on which sector. If you're working on public or private, it can kind of make things worse. And if you work with clients, I work with clients in my line of work, that can add even a bigger hurdle where they have their own deadline, they have their own criteria, and you have to kind of work with them to beat those expectations. So I totally get it. Like you can definitely be at a job working 50 plus hours in a week. And then you all can have weeks where you're working 40 or even 35 hours, depending on like project deadlines and stuff. But most work, in my opinion, especially as a mechie, you can find like typical 9 to 5 jobs. You can even find remote work where or like at least partial remote. I don't know about pure mechie jobs that are fully remote. I haven't at least heard of it. But I think there are a few. So you can definitely, I think, find jobs that have good work-life balance.
Okay. And before we get any deeper, can you
Yeah.
give like, a description of yourself so it's not like we're just pulling a random guy off the street to talk about
Oh, true,
engineering?
true, true. Yeah, I studied mechanical engineering as my bachelor's for 4 years. So, and my line of work is kind of more consultative, mechanical slash electrical. I was hired as a mechanical, but the line of work has a lot of electrical risks, electrical consultation. So I kind of it was just natural sort of addition to my workload. So that's sort of my background. I it, it and I have friends who have studied mechanical engineering, and they've done design work. They've done more again similar to me consultative work. I have friends who work both in the private and the public sector. I've mostly worked in the private sector. There was a stint where I did work public, and that was hell. That's always. I think that's a different conversation for a different time. But there are also I know people who have more demanding jobs as a mechanical engineering, especially in R&D, research and development and design, like really like down to the ground design, which I think the biggest one when I was coming up was oil companies and SpaceX and Tesla, companies like that will pretty much work you to the bone. That is true. But I don't. There's not a single engineer that I know that have worked for those companies that stay. Usually, they go in for the experience. They go in for, the just to try it, or for the money. And they usually, I personally, I don't know anyone who stayed. They use that as a stepping stone, and they will go on to get a job that will provide them with a better work-life balance. But they'll still use that experience in their resume because it only helps. It only helps.
Okay, so yeah, where'd you get your bachelor's?
I studied in Cornell University.
Oh, okay. Mr. Ivy League over here. I like how you kept that
Barely,
hidden
barely.
until you were asked
Yeah,
specifically.
I mean, there's a reason why, because I think for mechanical engineers, your bachelor's or even like where you get the degree is, to be very honest, as not as important. And I do think people need to hear that. Now, that's not to say that there is no difference between a really high prestigious college and a local community college. Unfortunately, in this world, I wish there wasn't a huge gap, but there is. So a really good example of a non-Ivy League that is, in my opinion, like a great engineering school is Georgia Tech. In my line of work, I know someone who came up with me at my job who was from Georgia Tech, and he's one of the most brilliant people I know. And when I was coming up, they would hear Georgia Tech, they would hear Cornell, and they would say, "Oh man, Cornell, blah blah." And I was kind of like, this guy. I really wanted to say, don't look down on them. Like, don't like, Georgia Tech is huge. It was on my list, in fact, when I was applying for colleges. So people will attach prestige to a quote unquote Ivy League, and I'll always take that. But I just want to say that there are non Ivy League places where the degrees are very much worth it. And
Well
it's a
said.
lot cheaper. A lot cheaper.
Eloquent and humble.
Oh, thank you,
So
thank you.
okay, so basically, for the most part, like someone going into like engineering,
Mm.
expect like a reasonable work-life balance.
Yeah, if you want to, I think the best thing about mechanical engineering is it can give you a lot of opportunities. You have to seek it out. Don't get me wrong, but it's a great sort of open-ended career move degree to get if you're not sure about a particular. Because civil engineering, for example, if you study civil, it's a lot. The job field is a lot more narrower. But however, you can still apply it to do something else. So you just have to show that you understand engineering. And I think I don't know if that's a question that a lot of people do ask me, like, what is engineering? And that is a really good question. And if anybody is like wondering if they want to go into it, it's problem solving. To me, that is the crux of all engineering in general. So whether you do mechanical, electrical, or you do coding, software engineering, at the heart of it, it's, if you like problem solving, if you like looking at something and thinking about what went wrong and how can I make it better, how can I fix it. If you have that kind of mentality, I think engineering might be for you.